So this rant request is actually from a very good friend of mine who wanted to learn a very crucial life skill. And if there's one life skill that I think almost everyone should really learn about, and it's so underrated, it's the skill of storytelling. And mind you, it's a skill, okay? It's really a skill. Now, why is this so important? Why is this a life skill? Let me tell you a story. There's a guy who made $100 into $10,000. Let me say that again, from $100 to $10,000. How did he do that? Crazy story. Here's what he did. He spent $100 and bought about 100 items, all $1 or less. In pesos, that's like 50 pesos, 55 pesos per item, okay? And then, what he did, he made stories about these items and started selling them online. You know, like, this item was actually owned by this famous artist, or this device was owned by and used by this person who created this and that. And it increased the value. The different stories increased the values of the different items from $1. One of them sold for $100, $200, $400, and you'd be amazed at the value of these items just because of stories. And the same can be said when we go to movies. If a movie is really, really good, of course we look at CGI, we look at the graphics and all of that, but really it's the story. Right now, storytelling as a skill is more than just writing and stuff like that. I'm not going to talk about writing. I'm not talking about like an author writing a novel and stuff. I'm talking about this topic is going to be about speaking stories, telling stories with your mouth, verbally. And you can use this in so many different ways. I'll give you just a few examples. For example, you're on a date. You're on a date, and for example, like let's say I'm on a date with my wife. Well, let's say right now I'm not married, so I'm single. I'm trying to date my wife, and she asks me, "Why are you interested in free diving? Why do you free dive? What's the deal with that?" And I could simply say, free diving is so great because it relaxes you, it calms you down, and then it helps you see a different perspective of the world, and you're going to see all these fish, and it's so beautiful and colorful, and the corals, blah, 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 blah. Or, if she asks me on a date, why do you enjoy free diving? And I can answer with a story by simply saying, you know, there was this one time when we went to the beach, and I went down under the water, and two things happened to me. And she's going to be like, what are those two things, right? And so she's suddenly captivated, and then the story comes in, and then everything just flows more smoothly. I think storytelling can be used in almost everything in life. I think, in fact, 80% of all questions in life are better answered with stories. You can use this in business proposals when you're pitching an investment, when you are talking to just a group of friends just to make things more lively or interesting. It can be a promotion interview. You know, when people ask, you know, it's the same when you're in a career, right? And someone asks you, why do you want this job? You can simply say, I want this job because I'm very passionate about cars. For example, right? Cars. Why do you want to get this job about car safety, like seatbelt manufacturing? You can say, I believe safety is so important because so many people die because of car accidents. Or you can talk about, you know, there was this one time in my life when I went through an accident myself. And then you can talk about that story. And it just engages people, right? Why do you want this promotion? You can go with, I want this promotion because I want the money, because I'm engaged right now and I need to make money for my family. You can say that. Or you can say, the reason why I want this promotion is because when I was young, boom, story. You just jump into a story. Now, I'm not saying answer every question with a story because that can be annoying, but I'm saying a lot of things can be answered by stories. Think about your insurance agents and why are they successful? They're not going to tell you, you know, 80% of people in the Philippines have diabetes or blah, 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 or mortality rate in the Philippines, people die because of the complications of the symptoms of diabetes, etc., etc., etc. That doesn't really catch your attention. But when they start saying, you know, I had a tita, I had an auntie, I had an uncle. When they start with that, right? They say something like, do you have any friends or relatives who died because of this and that? And you go, yeah. What was it like? How did they go through it? And you're like, yeah, bitaw, no, okay, so this happened, that happened, this happened. And then they start talking about their own stories, and the stories engage you, and then you begin to relate, you understand the importance and the value of insurance and all of that stuff. And that's how, in a sense, they get you, right? The marketing is just stories. So here's what we're gonna do. This might be a part one, and I'm gonna talk about part two and part three. Part two is gonna talk about the 3 P's of storytelling. So it's a macro view of how to tell powerful stories. Okay, so macro view of how to tell powerful stories. That's gonna be part two, and then part three is gonna be the different techniques in storytelling, like what do you do with your mannerisms, your speech, all of that stuff. So we're gonna divide this into 3 different rants. So this is rant part 1. I'm gonna post rant part 2 and part 3 in the coming days. So it's gonna be like a rant series, I guess. But before we end, just a request. If you guys have questions or you've got like rant requests, please feel free to comment in the comment section, or if you see this on Facebook, then comment down below at the comment section, and I'd be more than happy to take note of your rant requests, and yeah, I'll make a rant on those. So guys, God bless you. See you tomorrow and the next day for part 2 and part 3.